That's all right. I'll get her after. Welcome to Berwick Academy's 211th commencement. As I noted last night, the First Parish Federated Church and the Academy share a long history on Academy Street. In fact, Berwick Academy would not exist today were it not for the founding efforts of Parson Thompson and other members of the congregation. I'm pleased to introduce Parson Thompson's distant successor, Reverend Donnelly Muse of the First Federated Church of South Berwick, to offer invocation.
That's very distant. Let us pray. Holy Wanderer, giver of all gifts, we are witnesses today of the satisfaction of success and the anticipation of new-grown dreams. I ask your blessing on each one of these graduates. May they see this time as one of beginnings, not endings, a season of hope, not a moment of mourning. May your hand guide them on their way, fulfilling them through the grace of all the great things that you created them to be. We are thankful for all the people, parents and friends, teachers and tutors, whom you put within their journeys to lead these young people to a whole new level of joy and expectation. May all the people gathered here know your love along their own journeys and feel greatly blessed by your delight in them today. Amen.
Please be seated. Ms. Hubble, Mr. Clement, Mr. Jackson, Reverend Muse, trustees and overseers of the Academy, families, friends, and colleagues. It's my great pleasure to present the class of 2002. I think this day may be a final gift from them. It is certainly fitting. I know we have some black flies around to celebrate the day with us, so you're free to defend yourselves as you can. And also, it's fitting that the class of 2002 is the first to celebrate graduation in this academic quadrangle completed with the new library. So it is a great day. 1 week after our school year started, the tragedy of the World Trade Center burst upon our lives. I said several weeks later at convocation that I could think of no better class than the class of 2002 to lead the Academy in such troubling times. Everything the class has done, and more particularly, everything the class has been in the intervening 9 months, has confirmed that judgment. Theirs is a grand story. The story of the class is packed with great moments, great memories. Dave serenaded us at convocation, unforgettable in every way and forevermore. The boys' soccer team, led by Adam's 3 second-half goals, handed Beaver its first EIL loss in 55 games, and did so in their house. The boys' hockey team, led by Eric's 50-odd saves, ended the New England tournament plans of St. Mark's, yes, one of those fabled ISL schools, and did so in their house. Sarah Welch and Liz scored penalty kicks to defeat Bancroft, the longtime nemesis of our women's soccer program. The class's story is full of poetry and intellectual curiosity. Laurel shared not in dreams, the sky's not a limit for me, come and see, there are no limits in dreams. Mac always asked the hard questions and challenged the easy assumptions, in search not just for truth, but also for goodness. And then he escaped to Hawaii. Kristen, with curiosity and determination, worked her way through Pilgrim's Progress. Karen composed Obsession. I am the tiger, bloody and beautiful, handsome and lethal. I am that which you hate and cannot resist. The story of the class of 2002 is full of challenges being met and obstacles being overcome. Lauren participated in the National Art Honor Society inductions, sprinted over to the Windsor game, and led the girls' basketball team to a second-half comeback and made the last-second winning shot. Con persevered as a runner and a biker through a long vascular disease and 3 operations. The girls' lacrosse team overcame the sleet and rain at the EIL tournament and dealt a thrashing to those girls from the southern and softer climes of Dana Hall. Winthrop continued to compete for Berwick's cross-country team and the New Hampshire cross-country ski team, even though the only relief for his muscular disease was to quit competing. Evans scored a double-double against the 6'11" McDonald's All-American Center at the Lawrence Academy game. Matt attended his grandfather's funeral, but still managed to surprise his coach and join the hockey team after the first period against Worcester and score the overtime game winner. Sam, hobbling with a bum knee, still managed to run the offense against Pingree and hand them a good scare. And Sam, facing tough questions, presented the student dress code proposals to the faculty. Brian Medina took on Beaver's top scorer in that remarkable Berwick victory, and Melissa took on Brooks's all-league player and kept the score close. The story of the class is also full of beauty and music. Susanna Young's drawings and her vignettes of student life. Emily as Lily Vanessa in Kiss Me Kate, singing So in Love Am I. Will's pastel mixed media hand series. Carly belting out Ain't Misbehavin' at Winterfest. Dennis playing the preacher. Chelsea's cuff bracelet with her mother's worry stone. Chloe as Dolly Gallagher-Levy, moving us with Before the Parade Passes By. Jenny's creative fashion designs. Ford and Andrew doodling on the drums. Caitlin's painterly abstractions of vegetables and fruit. Marielle following her own voice in metalsmithing. Tom's draftsmanship in the interior of the Commons. Dave fiddling on the roof. The class's story possessed grace and power and speed. Mike Gentile scored a breakaway goal against Brooks. Sarah Welch broke any press. Peter Cahill skied Berwick into New England respectability and raced to a first-place knapsack finish in the giant slalom. Dan scored the winning goal against St. George's with 6 seconds left. Elena scored her 1,000th point and a few more, and set the mark for all who dare to follow her. Brian scored with a slap shot from the point on New Hampton. Liz, ever seen swimming as a team sport, swam the 500 meters freestyle only to turn around in minutes to swim the 100 butterfly, and she did it with a laugh. No ordinary laugh hers. Wiley scored 8 goals on Lexington Christian. Peter Foster was Mr. Defense on the basketball court. Ryan, Mr. Clutch, scored 2 goals, tying and then winning the game against a stunned, top-ranked Tilton. Santina, Sarah Gould, Sarah King, Megan Champney, Aurora, Dorothea, Emily, and Carly danced Saying Goodbye in Journey to Sea. Justin shut out Stansted College. Ted pitched a no-hitter against BCD with 13 strikeouts. Megan Clement hit the long, easy drive, skated the puck coast to coast, and scored handily in lacrosse. Remember her last second winning shot against Newton Country Day. The story of the class is all about academic achievement and intellectualism. Sarah Welch possessed an incredible facility in math and chemistry and became one of a mere 500 semifinalists in the National Presidential Scholars Program. Mike Plummer, the newest member of the class, possessed equally incredible reading habits. Did he actually check out one-third of all the books checked out by the entire senior class from the library? Peter Sinus DeSantis enjoyed the contradictions and human complications of the 60s and of resistance and rebellion. Steve and Brendan devoted their senior project to working at UNH on a new kind of MRI system. Sarah King lived the school's ideal of the life of the mind. Dorothea served as the junior interpreter of How Many Trips to France. Karen taught herself Japanese. Ted elevated his 60s class with rare and carefully crafted insights. Page taught himself network gaming. The class is also all about humor and different perspectives. Peter Foster's constant encouragement to a 60s teacher to keep attending those headmasters' conferences. Ford and Kahn producing their senior project comic book, Moderately Above Average Duo. And what was it about the cars? Tom had the oldest and oddest car in the lot, the gray 1961 Morris Minor, but he has about completed his new car, the 1968 Land Rover. And what about Brendan's red, about to be or almost about to be completed 1967 Mustang? They're reaching back into a good time with those. Speaking of odd things to do with cars, Rob Willick lifted his Jeep 3 inches and then helped alumnus Chris Battis lift his Jeep 3 inches. In my day, we were trying to lower the things. Andrew's self-portrait assemblage, including a comic book. Page's Cubist renderings, Fists of Fury, that doesn't sound like Page, and Bust a Groove. Aaron's melting sink, Lauren's smile, Ford's coconuts coming undone, and there's no business like show business. Shannon vamping the gangster in Kiss Me Kate, Megan Champney vamping the vamp on Senior Arts Night, Brian Mahan, Ryan, and Mike Gentile vamping Lady in Red for Valentine's Day, dancing cheek to cheek indeed. Dave and Ford's baccalaureate prognostications for the class of 2027. Humor indeed. The class's story was sometimes distant or behind the scenes. Mark returned to us from North Carolina and helped fill the defensive gaps in lacrosse. Tom and Aaron painted that remarkable backdrop for Kiss Me Kate. We knew Garrett in goal, on the court, and at bat, but we only heard of Garrett with his cello playing at the National Festival Orchestra in Carnegie Hall. Susanna and Jason shouldered the burdens of the honor committee. Rachel started her medical career shadowing a surgeon during her senior project. Ashley returned to her elementary school during senior projects to work with young students. Erica won one world championship, and 3 national championships at the Morgan Grand Nationals in Oklahoma. Brandon, number 95, raced in the late model division at Lee Speedway and won Rookie of the Year award last year. Megan Champney and Sarah Gould headed the tech crew for the last 3 years, behind the scenes, making those great productions possible. The story of the class is packed with remarkable achievements, with gifts to Berwick's story. Think of its 4 musical productions: Fiddler on the Roof, On the Town, Hello Dolly, and Kiss Me Kate. 29 members of the class have contributed. 10 are 4-year drama bulldogs. I'm not sure it's ever been put that way, but Megan Champney, Dave, Dorothy, Emily, Chloe, Sarah King, Laurel, Tage, Carly, and Aurora. Think of the memories they have given us. Too Darn Hot, Sweet Rosie O'Grady, Tradition, and New York, New York. Mix in the dance productions. Journey to Sea this year, Senior Arts Night, Woofstock. What great memories they have left us. Think of the class's athletic accomplishments together. The Berwick athletic record over the last 4 years has been 517 wins to 368 losses. That translates to 8 EIL championships, 6 EIL tournament championships, 14 NEPSAC tournament invitations, 2 NEPSAC championships, 2 NEPSAC finals, and 4 NEPSAC semifinals. Their senior year, the boys soccer, boys hockey, boys tennis, and baseball all made it to the semifinals in the NEPSACs. Boys basketball made it back to the NEPSAC tournament for the first time in 10 years. Boys skiing finished 3rd, girls skiing finished 4th in the NEPSAC finals. Girls cross country placed 2nd in the NEPSAC finals. What a record that is. And think of its academic gifts. 7 National Merit students, the largest number in the Academy's history. 13 cum laude students, the largest number in the Academy's history. So there you have the story. Artistic, athletic, academic gifts. It sounds like a sound clip from our latest admissions video. And well, it could be. The class of 2002 has produced an inspiring record of achievement, but here's the thing. The record is not what is most important, is not as what is most central to the class. At convocation, I spoke of the tradition of kindness in the class of 2002. The word kindness probably falls short of its mark. The class is gentle, thoughtful, respectful, and yes, giving. Its gifts have been many. Some have been small, some have been large. A sampling. Chloe demonstrated a Parson Thompson Award commitment to community service. 33 members of the class produced song for the Fall Arts Night. Santina, our most passionate dancer, missed an entire dance segment simply to comfort another dancer. The theatrical cadre prepared There's No Business Like Show Business as a moving thank you to Mrs. Kahlberg for her years of service. Daughter Melissa shared her senior spring term with her father on Tuckerman's Ravine and Senior Artsman. The girls' athletic teams collectively won 2 sportsmanship awards in a row. 2-year awards, a remarkable achievement. 38 members of the class were big sisters and big brothers. And what about Woofstock? An amazing night and amazing performers. This class has music. The storm raged outside, the power went out in Dover, but the Cosplex was rocking. 14 organized the Red Cross blood drive. 26 traveled to Boston last Sunday to participate in the AIDS walk. 14 devoted their senior projects to working with children in schools. Jenny and Kristen gave their time to working with the elderly at Langan Place. The kindness, the collective kindness of the class of 2002, even more than all of its considerable talents and accomplishments, made it the perfect class for the Hilltop after 9/11. I am absolutely struck by the 11 members of the class who've been the stalwarts. The 12 years they have given us and they've given each other. Mr. Sherbaum wrote me a note after convocation, and he used a word which may make some of us uncomfortable, but which better captures the sense of kindness in the class of 2002. I quote, "Above all, what today has made clear to me was that even in the midst of a turbulent time, when some people will be called on to hate or dismember their attachment to humanity and then kill, we here on this tiny green hilltop can simply work and love, especially love." Is that word too strong? Baccalaureate offered a bit of an answer. Erica and Elena remembered the footprints on our hearts, and Carly, Shannon, and Emily sang By My Side. Even from her distance, Reverend Muse counseled you to remember that you go in one another's care. Chloe, Laurel, Lauren, and Sarah Welch offered us Beaver. To live for the one you love, to love more than love itself, to love without expecting anything in return. I think Mr. Sherbaum had it right. Ms. Hubble, Mr. Clement, Mr. Jackson, Reverend Muse, trustees and overseers, colleagues, friends, and families, it's my honor to present the class of 2002, a class that simply worked and loved. Sarah Welch joined us on the Hilltop in the fall of 1998 as a Berwick Tycho Scholar. She is a National Merit Finalist. She is a member of the National Latin Honor Society and the Cum Laude Society. She is an 11-season varsity athlete and a league and New England All-Star in basketball. Sarah now holds the Berwick record for the number of three-point scores. New Jersey could have used some of those last night. The fall will find Sarah heading south to attend Harvard. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the salutatorian for the class of 2002, Sarah Welch.
Morning, everyone. Graduation always seems so far off. Our younger selves couldn't imagine what 12th grade would be like. Couldn't fathom college. Even freshman year seems so long ago. We can laugh at our funny freshman antics, like we are so far removed from those people that we were then. You know we are, of course. We are not who we were 3 years ago, or last year, or even last week. There is no reason for us to feel obligated to follow the path that we made yesterday, to play the same role. And there is no reason for us to see others the same way that we saw them the day before. Each day presents a fresh start on life, for everyone. When we classify and overlook even just a few people, we lose so many opportunities to make our own lives richer. The more we give others a generous chance to freely share their own philosophies, the deeper our perception, our awareness, our experience of life becomes. Most of us have been categorized at some point or another. Throughout our years, we have played the geek, the jock, the clown, the pessimist, the naive optimist. But we know that we ourselves are more than our labels. Yet so many times, I know that feeling of being afraid to contradict the way I imagine others expect me to act. I'm afraid people will criticize. I wish so much this could be changed. We all know this feeling, but still we can be oblivious to it in others. When we ignore the multiple facets of strangers and even friends, we miss out on so much. So I guess I'm encouraging you, us, to forget what role was played yesterday and simply accept that what you know of someone barely scratches the surface of who they are. Then listen to them, truly listen, and you may well be amazed by the person emerging before your eyes. Don't ever hang back because you are afraid of being untrue to your image. Your image is an illusion. Be enthusiastic, be involved, don't dismiss anyone on face value. Eleanor Roosevelt is famous for challenging stereotypes, and of her many words, these are my favorite. The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. I love that quote. I imagine a person who has broken free from the constraints of any predetermined role and sees the world as an amazing place to be experienced. Every person they meet presents the opportunity to learn about a unique individual, whether through deep friendship or simple acquaintance. Every chance to try something new is eagerly taken. This person lacks that consuming, weighty fear of what will people think. And because they do not worry about their image, ironically, they will probably be loved the most for the sincere interest they show in those around them. This fall, we'll be heading off to college, where we will learn and study and party and reinvent ourselves. Really, no one knows who we are. No one knows any of our secrets. No one knows whether we were loved or despised in our old life. We can start fresh. But who should we be? I encourage you to be mysterious. Be undefined. Don't play a role. Be whoever you want, whenever you want. View each day as a fresh chance to experience life. And let every individual you meet, with all their own many intricacies and histories, feel free to do the same. Show genuine interest in the world around you, and life will have so much more meaning. Every day, be true to who you are, multifaceted, multi-layered, undefinable. In the words of Thoreau, renew thyself completely each day. Do it again, and again, and again, and forever again. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah. We are honored to welcome Sue Hubble as the commencement speaker for the class of 2002. Ms. Hubble's books include Waiting for Aphrodite, A Book of Bees, Broadsides from Other Orders, and Far-Flung Hubble. Her most recent book is Shrinking the Cat, subtitled Genetic Engineering Before We Knew About Genes. In a country year, Ms. Hubble finishes one chapter with the following. This is one of those, quote, this is one of those biological puzzles that I find cheering, untidy, unresolved, a reminder that the results are not yet all in, that we do not have the final forms, nor all the answers. We are still in process, chiggers, humans, and the rest. There are probably better answers somewhere on down the pike. Ms. Hubble, I would like to introduce you to a class and a school, chiggers, humans, and the rest, that value the magic of words and that are untidy and are still in process. Welcome to Berwick Academy. Ms. Hubble.
Thank you very much. And I hope there are no chiggers don't think you have many chiggers around here. It's an honor to be invited to be your graduation speaker. I have not been familiar with Berwick Academy before I came down here, but I hear about you every day on Maine Public Radio. I think it's very enlightened of you people to sponsor one of our better institutions in Maine, and I thank you for that. In the course of accumulating the degrees that go along with a formal education, I have, on a number of occasions, sat on your side of the podium and listened to a speaker give a graduation talk on this side of the podium. With a single exception, I can remember nothing from those speeches. That exception was the first sentence of one of them, in which the speaker observed that no one ever remembers graduation speeches. I think I know why. I remembered that when sitting on your side of the podium, a graduation speech was the only speech one had to listen to in school for which there were no test questions. One was not responsible for the material. And on my side, I realized that people who are asked to give graduation talks are almost invariably old enough to be grandparents to those whom they address. Now that I am a grandparent, I understand the terrible urge to hand out advice to younger people on solemn occasions. And I recalled an incident with my youngest grandchild. She and I were collecting rocks one day with which to build a wall, and we had found a very heavy one. I got out my hand truck to move it, and I advised her very solemnly to remember always that a hand truck was a woman's best friend. My granddaughter is only 5, but she has a sense of humor, and she had the decency to laugh. It was a good piece of advice, but she'll not remember it. So, I'm not going to talk to you about hand trucks, and I'm not going to give advice. What I'm going to do is tell you a story. It's a true story, and you may or may not remember it, but it is about the sorts of things that I find memorable. I am a writer of magazine and newspaper stories, as well as books about natural history. A couple of years ago, an editor at the New York Times, for whom I do occasional work, telephoned me and said she'd heard that there were a lot of butterflies in Costa Rica. Would I like to go there and take a look at them? For years, butterfly experts have been telling me about the beautiful blue morpho butterflies found throughout Central and South America, and I had seen pictures of them. They are big butterflies, some 3 inches or more in wingspread, and the males of several species are striking, brilliant blues, azures, and purples. I knew that photographs could never do them justice, and had often wished I could see them shimmering and flying free in the tropical rainforest. So I said yes, I'd like to take the assignment. I phoned a Costa Rican ecotourism company and asked where I'd be likely to see blue morphos. The woman there checked around, and she called me back to tell me that the place it would be most probable to find them, the place where 3 species lived, was along the Pequari River. The company was planning to mount a river trip down the Pequari, and I could join it if I wished. Now, basically, I am terrified of large bodies of water, for reasons that we don't need to go into here. But a river trip made me think of summertime floating in canoe or inner tube along the lovely, calm river that ran by the Missouri farm where I used to live. So I said, yes, sign me up. And the company made the arrangements, sent me some information about the river trip. It was to be whitewater rafting, and because the Pequari, which was a Class 4 river, flowed down a mountain gorge, there was no way to get out after the put-in until we got to our destination in the coastal flatlands 3 days later. We would camp out at night with Indians who lived in the few clearings that existed along the river. The word Whitewater made me nervous, and I didn't know what a Class 4 river meant. I understand you're a very athletic group. I bet you people know what a Class 4 river is, don't you? There's quite a few of you nodding your head. Well, I didn't know. And I'd asked my husband, who's done quite a bit of canoeing, I said, what's a Class 4? And he said, I can never remember whether the higher numbers are worse or the lower numbers. But a raft sounded like a bigger version of an inner tube. And I didn't really give the matter much thought until just before I left, and I was ready, ready to leave, and I went down to the library and checked out a book on the rivers of Costa Rica. My heart sank when I read the definition of a Class 4 river. Long, difficult rapids with constricted passages that often require precise maneuvering in very turbulent waters. Conditions make rescue difficult. There followed a detailed description of the quarry. The river fell 46 feet each mile and was said to be one of the 10 most exciting rivers in the world for whitewater. Worse yet, there were photographs. One showed a kayaker coming through a set of rapids. He was invisible in the churning white water except for his two hands, which were holding high his paddle. I nearly canceled the trip, but I didn't. I was too embarrassed to tell my editor that I was afraid. However, I became even more alarmed in the bus that took the dozen of us going on the trip, along with guides from San Jose to the Pequary. It appeared that my comrades were all whitewater enthusiasts and found it very amusing that I was going simply to look for butterflies. The river looked mild enough where we put in, and the guide in my raft, Miguel, was as considerate of me as he would have been to his grandmother. He told us all exactly when to paddle forward, how many times to do so, when to stop, when to duck down. He was a first-year biology student at university and knew a lot about the plants and animals alongside the Pequary. I calmed my nerves by telling myself that the ecotourism company would not risk losing a New York Times reporter. And I put my utter trust in Miguel, obeyed his commands slavishly. After the first hour, I realized I was having a good time. I was amazed and reassured to see Indian children, some of them no more than 6 or 7, shooting perilous-looking rapids on scraps of balsa wood from trees that grew along the river. Those children, Miguel told me, make wonderful river guides when they grow up. Miguel had not grown up alongside the river, but his mother was an Indian. He spoke the local language and would spend the evenings when we camped out with the Indians, talking with them about what they had been seeing recently along the river. I began to see blue morphos. The most common species was Morpho Pleiades limpida, a mid-sized shimmering blue butterfly with wings rimmed in dark brown. They flew with a lazy flap of wings and were easy to spot beside the river. It was Miguel who pointed overhead and showed me the first of the biggest species of Morpho, Morpho amathante. It was a male, his wings unbanded, a perfect osier, and he flew along with the raft. I continued to see more of those two species, as well as many other kinds of butterflies. But the third day came, and I had still not seen the rarest of blue morphos, the one found few places on Earth except the Pequary. And it was on the third day in which we got into trouble. I knew we were in trouble because I heard Miguel, a young man of exceedingly mild and temperate language, mutter, "Oh shit." And then yell, "Get down!" as we approached a series of boulders protruding from foaming water. The raft struck the first boulder, wrapped itself around it. The 6 of us inside the raft fell against one another with our arms and legs entangled. I was certain that the river's force would flip the raft and we frail humans would be squished against the boulder. However, after the merest of eternities, Miguel pried us free and told us to resume our positions on the edge of the raft and paddle fast. We hurtled down the river to a protected cove to assess the damage, 1 paddle loss, and stand by in case rescue was needed for the other 2 rafts and the supply boat. Standing with shaky knees on the rocks in the cove and anxiously watching the other rafts successively pin and break free, I realized I was looking directly at the place where the terrifying picture of the kayaker had been taken in the book about Costa Rican rivers. The text said, "Here, the lower Pequari produces its toughest rapids, the lower Huacas. Even at low water, this 150-yard stretch of ledges is a solid Class 4 rapid. At higher water, the holes become voracious." My raft mates and Miguel were all waving their arms and cheering as the supply boat finally pulled through. They missed what I saw. It appeared to be a shimmering ball drifting slowly a few feet above my head, a tiny flying saucer. Blue, but successively cobalt, lilac, violet, purple in its iridescence. It played tricks with my eyes, gleamed, and slow danced over to the water's edge. It was a male morphocypress, a mid-sized butterfly, an individual of the 3rd and final species of morpho I had hoped to see. All morphos flutter their wings in slow, floppy, almost indolent flight, but cypress's distinctively slower wing beat, along with its pattern of coloration, creates an optical illusion that makes it appear ball-shaped, which possibly may fool predators as much as it fooled me at first glance. My guidebook to the butterflies of Costa Rica had described it as a sailing blue orb against the rainforest background and called it one of the most stunningly beautiful sights of the neotropics. I quite agree. And it is now an indelible picture in my head, a picture and a memory that I will hold until the end of my days. Is there hidden advice in my story? Well, perhaps there is after all, but you will figure out that for yourselves. I don't need to spell it out. Instead, on this, your graduation day, I want to convey my hope that by the time you have reached the age of 70, that you will have accumulated as satisfying a collection of memories and mental photographs as I have been lucky enough to do. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hubble. It's now my honor to ask Mr. Clement, the Vice President of the Board of Trustees, to help in the presentation of the diplomas. Mr. Clement and members of the Board of Trustees, it is my happy duty on behalf of the faculty to present the members of the class of 2002 for their diplomas. Remember how to do this now. David Aceto. Daniel Antle. Congratulations.
We're working up.
Paige Andrews. Constantine Andrews Estofsky. William Armenta. Elena Balboni. Lauren Bodden. Garrett Bishop. Peter Cahill. Andrew Caldwell. Congratulations. Megan Champney. Caitlin Chandler. Megan Clement. Dorothea Clinton. Matthew Cuomo. Brendan Crowley. Rachel L. Davis. Peter DeSantis. Chelsea Drew. Emily Earl.
Thank you.
Peter Foster. Ted Gagner. Michael Gentile. Shannon Gimrick. Sarah L. Gould. Evan Gray. Chloe Green. Karen Hadrick. Stephen Hersman. Jenny Kaplan. Sarah King. Dennis Labby. Elizabeth McCrum. Brian Mahan. Ryan McCoy. Brian Medina. Ford Natirbaugh. Laurel Needell. Wiley Owens. Justin Perry. Kristen Pettis. McCandless Petty. Michael Plummer. Aaron Ramsey. Erica Ramsey. Ashley Richmond. Melissa Ridgway. Tay Shaw. Thomas Sherman. Adam Soroyce. Winthrop Smith. Jason Steigrack. Carly Stevenson. Andrew Serena. Mark Sylvester. Brandon Talon. Eric Trepanier. Santina Boo. Sarah M. Welch. Marielle Whalen. Rob Willick. Samuel G. Witherby. Susanna B. Young. Aurora Zink. Thank you, Mr. Clement. Today, we say farewell to the class of 2002. It is, we all know, a bittersweet time. Today, we are also saying farewell to a man who has profoundly shaped the progress of the Academy over the last decade. That is also a bittersweet moment. Years ago, the Board of Trustees established the Founders Medal in the sure knowledge that great schools need to be founded and refounded again and again as they move through time. The board sought to recognize those individuals who have played founding roles in the life of the Academy. Skip Kendall, Marie Donahue, Wendy Persig, Ursula Gordon, and Dennis Kozlowski. I could talk forever about O.P. Jackson, but I suspect forever would not be a good thing today. I've turned to the good offices of Chuck Clement again, the Vice President of the Board, to make the presentation. Mr. Clement.
Thank you very much, Hap. I'm amazed that he would give me the mic because that's a dangerous thing in my hands. I happen to be a karaoke person, but I'll spare you that. Just had to embarrass my lovely daughter here. So it's interesting that Opie and I are 1 year apart and saying graduating our youngest, he last year, and so he gave me some advice this year, and so far it's working okay, Opie. I appreciate that. But as Hap already stated, we could truly talk at length about Opie's impact on Berwick Academy. Opie's modesty deserves to be respected, and I certainly will try to, although I hope he will forgive me for just taking a brief moment to thank him for all that he has done. It is truly a tale of magnificent vision. Using a borrowed phrase, Opie's fingerprints are all over the Academy and all over the Academy's progress. I believe that I am correct when saying that every building within your view as you sit out there today has been touched by his generosity. When, on no less than 3 occasions, the Academy had the possible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to secure a total of over 30 acres of land over here and behind us for future growth, Opie Jackson quietly answered the call. As chair for many years of the Academic Affairs Committee, he gave of his time and his wisdom, helping shape all of the things that go on inside these buildings. At this time, I would like to read the inscription on the plaque. Whereas he served on the Board of Trustees from 1994 to 2002, whereas as chair of the Academic Affairs Committee, he shared a vision of the liberal arts school, whereas he ever placed the interest of the Academy first and foremost, whereas he gave generously, even sacrificially, of his own time and resources, whereas he led the Academy through crisis times with an abiding commitment to the common good and a graceful wit, the Board of Trustees of Berwick Academy on June 8, 2002, awards the Founders Medal to Orton P. Jackson, Jr., Opie Jackson. thank you all. I just have one other piece of information that I wanted to pass on at this time. Opie certainly, as I was going to bring him up here, and I'm so glad that he is already here, but that was just revise it. But at this time, I did want to let everyone know and announce that the Executive Committee, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, has voted to have Opie join a very small handful of special trustees who are now to be named as trustee emeritus. And I say a very small list of very special trustees. Opie, congratulations on that as well.
Good morning. I begin with an extemporaneous apology. Those who have served on committees with me over the past 8 years know that I am rarely at a loss for words, and until this morning I have never been at a loss for voice. I woke up this morning with the beginnings of a case of laryngitis. I will speak as slowly and as succinctly as possible, but if you can't understand me, please see me later and I will read you the parts of the text that you haven't been able to understand. Mr. Clement, Mr. Ridgway, Ms. Hubble, Reverend Muse, fellow trustees, overseers, parents, families and friends, and the class of 2002. I come here today from a far corner of the Berwick Academy mission statement, the division of lifelong learning, the land beyond the diploma. And I have arrived at this lectern quite by surprise. In fact, throughout my little talk, I will allude to a number of surprises. I find that life brings them over and over and over. Take this throat, for example. Take this medal, for example. My intention was to fold my tent and steal silently away. But, as I have discovered frequently over the past 8 years, Hap had other ideas. For those of you who are uninitiated, he is very persuasive. My high school diploma is 32 years old, and I arrived at this hilltop, because I graduated from another hilltop in Simsbury, Connecticut, as a 3rd and 6th grade parent in 1991. At that first parent coffee, I thought to myself, well, I guess I could be a good Berwick parent, perhaps even a reader at some point of the Berwick mission statement, so that I could understand what goes on around here. But only after I had read the BAPA newsletter and the handbook. I never expected that while I was here, I would participate in the rewriting of the Berwick mission statement. And shortly after that project, I was shocked to realize that I had been absorbed into its language. I am not a Berwick Academy graduate, but its educational process is a part of my being. The rest of my speech is in 2 parts, an acknowledgement and a send-off. And I'm echoing baccalaureate last night. In fact, there's a theme developing here, and I think you'll hear it as I go along, those of you who were there last night. First, the acknowledgement. Berwick Academy has given me this medal out of gratitude. Well, I am grateful too. In fact, more grateful that I will be able to state here today. I want to take a few minutes to thank a few of the many faculty members who provided me with a morsel of the marvelous experience that I have had here as a post-graduate, and who probably didn't realize that there was, God forbid, an 18th student in the classroom. Those of you who are not mentioned, don't run away. I want to see you personally later after graduation. Berwick, if you haven't already realized it, has a truly wonderful self-effacing faculty. And this includes the headmaster, whose ethics class outlines on the blackboard in BD have been a great resource to the Academic Affairs Committee. I'm not going to name the faculty members I'm about to thank. I don't want to embarrass them, but I think they'll know who they are. And I apologize in advance for the emphasis on the humanities. With all due respect to the building on my right, I was an English major in college, My gravitational pull is toward the building behind you. Thank you for reminding me of the bird imagery in Jane Eyre. I went home, reread it, and found exactly what you were talking about. Thank you for giving me Robert Coover's The Babysitter. That was in 1995. I read it last week. Talk about cramming for exams. Oh yes, my book report. It's breathtaking. Switching your teaching schedule and reintroducing me to the Odyssey when I was ready for Stephen Crane. Thank you for giving me the experience of Robert J. Lertzema's reading of The Man Who Planted Trees. Thank you for telling me the fascinating story of the Confederate artillery batteries at Gettysburg and the reasons why the shells went over the Union lines' heads. Thank you for including me in the senior physics students' demonstration of science to the middle school. It was really cool, but I have no freaking idea what was actually going on. And finally, for showing me that my daughter's decision of where to attend high school was her destiny and not mine. Thank you, CF. And now the send-off. In 1994, I went to Ireland to hear David White, a Yorkshire poet who had transplanted himself to Puget Sound, read poems of his experience in the Himalayan mountains. They were not a surprise. But then he read The Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. I dedicate my reading of this poet's work to all of us who are leaving the Academy today, and especially to the class of 2002. Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. So, to the class of 2002, best of luck, you warm animals. And to Berwick Academy, all of you, thank you again for so very, very much, and I include lunch in that. In this era of surprise, surprise, and more surprise, I feel compelled to finish with some advice from the Moody Blues and their song, Sitting at the Wheel, which is also a song about a river. Hold on to your lifeline. Don't let go. Don't let go. Thank you.
The Cogswell Medal is awarded to the Academy's valedictorian. Being ranked Scholar of the Class of 2002, as Mr. Gilmore pointed out last night, is no mean feat. Sarah King is a member of the Cum Laude Society and the National French Society and the National Spanish Honor Society. She was a Cogswell Ranking Scholar as a freshman and a junior. She is also a National Merit Scholar. Sarah graced the Whipple Arts Center stage for 4 years as a dancer in the winter musicals and the spring dance productions. The fall will find Sarah attending Connecticut College. It is my pleasure to present the Cogswell Medal winner and the valedictorian of the class of 2002, Sarah King.
Hi, everyone. Friends, family, faculty, trustees, and class of 2002. Good morning and welcome. We are gathered here today to celebrate the accomplishments of this graduating class. Each graduate is similar to a flower. We have grown up over these 4 years from the lost, dazed, immature little seedlings that we were when we walked into assembly on our first day in the upper school, which was for some of us our first day ever at Berwick, and for others just a new place on a familiar campus. Now we are mature, competent, intelligent, beautiful blooming flowers. What happened over those 4 years? We are the results of the wonderful education we have had here at Berwick. Our teachers, many of them mentors and friends, have guided us during our stay here. They deserve our thanks for all the lessons in academics and in life that they have taught us. Our parents and families also deserve many thanks as well. They have been with us long before we were members of the Berwick community and will be with us long afterwards. They have shaped our values and have been there for us when we needed love and support. All of these important people have been our gardeners. They planted us and gave us our start, and they tended to us during our critical growing stages. Without them, we would not be here today, ready to set out on our own to college and beyond. We are not just a collection of identical individuals, however. Our garden would not be as spectacular if it were made up only of daisies. Although by appearance, we may not look very different, this outside picture does not accurately portray our class. The class of 2002 is made up of 64 different individuals with different strengths and weaknesses, different interests, different dispositions, different habits, different likes and dislikes, different backgrounds, and different values and beliefs. Some of us like science, some of us are history buffs. Some of us play 3 seasons of sports, and others prefer to sketch the setting sun with a pencil and a pad of paper. Some of us love to dance, and others love to sing. Some of us are quiet, and some outgoing. Some of us would love to watch a Broadway show, and others would prefer the Super Bowl. Of course, the lines that divide these examples are not distinct for everyone. We are a true garden, filled with every variety of flower. Beautiful roses with hidden thorns, hardy dandelions, cheerful daisies, fragrant lilies, graceful daffodils, and friendly buttercups. What makes the class of 2002 so special is how every senior, with his or her differences, complements everyone else for the greater good and benefit of all. Together, we form a caring, hardworking, and involved class known for its artistic and athletic talents, as well as for its excellence in academics. As we move on and leave Berwick, which has been our home for the last few years, we should not forget the memories that we have formed here. Our years have been filled with special events like wilderness trips and semi-formals, and the memories of these events are scattered among the more daily, constant rituals of life at Berwick. I would like to offer some of these memories. Some will make you smile and chuckle, and others will make you want to groan, because we must remember the good along with the bad, the embarrassing along with the funny. So, do you remember Mr. Davies' terrifying horror story on the freshman trip, and the spooky walk back to our cabins afterwards as shrill shrieks filled the air? Or the attack of the water bailers while whitewater rafting on the junior trip? Remember all the sports practices, games, dance classes, and spring recitals. Don't forget the countless flat tires, dying engines, and ripped off emergency exit doors that the school vans and buses suffered in order to get us to those away games and school events in Timbuktu. Do you remember studying for Mr. Sullivan's dreaded weekly Western Civ quizzes, passing in our junior history paper with relief after 3 snow days in a row? Going for a week eating bread and cheese and feeling dirty just for the sake of understanding Thoreau? Or becoming the Eiffel Tower, a Roman monster, or Don Quixote for language day? Remember hearing stomachs growl on taco day and the school-wide cries of, "Can we go to lunch early?" Do you remember way back in the days before the Jefferson Science Center, when we had to do physics in the commons where the lab tables were slanted and lumpy, and when we dropped our well-protected eggs from the library window instead of from the 3rd floor of Jefferson? Remember dissecting pigs? Yes, even a cancer pig. the future doctors among us loving it, and the rest feeling quite queasy. Remember slaving over periodic table projects, taking national language exams, midterms and finals, and stressing over SATs and APs. Don't forget traveling to France or Costa Rica, crossing the finish line after the AIDS walk, hiding your blushing face during the senior project slideshow, or filling in your name for the 100th time on college applications. Remember attending coffee houses big and small, Woodstock, rain or shine, or being awed at the talent at Winterfest. Don't forget how easy it was to roll out of bed for pajama day, and how nice it was during Spirit Weeks not to hear the usual dress code whining. Remember the musicals, not just the performances, but the countless rehearsals and infinite quiet downs we heard. Don't forget lunches at Dustin's, or lunches spent waiting in line at the bookstore for that must-have English book for your next class, perhaps while munching on a donut from Madame's Cafe. Of course, each of us has other, more personal memories of time spent with friends and family as well. These memories are our roots. Do not forget them. A flower cannot grow without roots, and neither can we. Our memories are our past, but now we are on the brink of setting out for the future. We don't know what that future will be, but we do have a say in it. It is time for us each to plant the garden of our dreams and watch those dreams grow and come true. We are the gardeners now, in charge of our own destinies. So leave here today, ready to work hard and make your dreams and goals a reality. Don't forget to have fun and enjoy life to the fullest on your way. Stay in touch with old friends, but meet new people. Try new things, take some risks, make new memories. I am proud to be a part of Berwick Academy's class of 2002, and I have confidence that wherever each of us goes from here, our futures will be bright and as beautiful as any garden around. Good luck and congratulations, class of 2002. I'm going to miss you guys.
Thanks, Sarah. After our recessional, the class of 2002 will form a receiving line behind us. That is a great time to congratulate the members of the class individually. You are also invited to a light buffet in the Commons. Thank you all for helping to honor and celebrate the class. Could we all join one last time in applauding the class? A loud applause. Please be seated one last time. Reverend Muse will deliver the benediction. Please remain seated during the benediction and during the last march of the class of 2002 so that all can view it. Reverend Muse.
I'm just going to read to you some words from the book of Ecclesiastes, and the greatest wisdom that there is. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to reap, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. As you go from this school today, parent and students and faculty alike, may you take this challenge from Ecclesiastes. Be planters and reapers. Be healers and builders. Be laughers and dancers. Be gatherers and seekers. Be lovers. But most of all, be peacemakers. For when peace is established on earth, then we shall all know real joy in our hearts. Go in the love of God that is for all people,